Welcome back to this week's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 3 tips that you need to know about when investing in today's market. I was speaking with a group of lady landlords earlier today, and so many of them are so excited to be able to get that next rental property and want to be able to do that before the end of 2024. Well, we only got a few months left here, so we need to start really thinking about that. But as always, markets are evolving. For those of us that have been investing for a while, we've seen what changes there has been. We've seen some of the lowest interest rates we've seen in years, and we've seen some of the highest interest rates we've seen in years. It is very important to make sure that we understand what's going on in the market and to pivot our real estate investing strategy to accommodate what that looks like. So one of the first things I want to address is even just putting those words around it when we talk about how, well, now is a good time to invest and when it is not a good time to invest or when we're in a bad economy place. One of the reasons why I want to discuss this is because the successful real estate investors that are out there want to know what they're not doing. They're not sitting back and waiting for economy for time to change. What they're actually doing is saying, well, based on this set of circumstances, this is now the strategy I have to employ. This is what I do in this type of market. And they pivot in order to be able to continuously be growing and scaling that portfolio. So when we start to assign things with good and bad, that's actually giving a lot of power away to things that we can't really control. What's important is to start thinking about the things that we can control and really starting to match up our strategy with what is going on in also our investing world here. So here are my top 3 tips about what you need to be doing to invest in today's market. The first one is you really want to start by understanding your why. Why is real estate important for you to get involved in? Why is something that you actually want to do? The reason I always recommend that people start here is because I see people get so lost in chasing other people's dreams. And by chasing what others are doing within real estate, unfortunately, what does that tend to lead to? If now all of a sudden you are completely misaligned with how your strategy that you picked, with how you are investing in real estate, a bunch of things are going to happen that you're not going to like. One, you're going to be really frustrated. It's not going to be as fun as you thought it was going to be. It's not going to necessarily give you the rewards that you thought. It's going to be much more difficult. And when you're not enjoying it, you're going to end up giving up probably sooner than you normally would and never really making it to those goals. By understanding what your why is, why real estate is important to you versus me, now you can really start to put that strategy in place and make sure that you are always matching your strategy to your why. Okay. So one of the exercises I always recommend here is to take a few minutes and really just journal and write down, why is this what you're getting into? Is it because of a lack of knowledge in other investments? Is it because you like the idea and personally want to live in a rental property and see what you can do to lower your cost of living? Is this something that you're looking for retirement? Are you looking for replacement of your income today? Are you looking to leave a legacy to your children? All of those things are completely valid reasons, but they're going to be very specific to who you are, what you're looking to accomplish, which is then going to dictate what strategy is going to be the most successful for you. That misalignment between your goals and your strategy is one of the biggest mistakes I see lady landlords make. So my top tip is to start thinking about what your why is. And if you've been in this game for a while, reassess what your why is. We as people change, adapt. It is absolutely an okay thing to do. And honestly, something you really should be doing is to start saying, well, now what is the next goal I want to accomplish? Now, how have things changed in my life that I want to accomplish or see through my real estate portfolio? So this is an exercise I still do, even 16 properties in, but this is something that you should really engage in continuously as you move forward, not just with your portfolio, but in anything else that you're looking to accomplish successfully in your life and in goal setting. The second top tip I have for you on how to navigate today's market is now to start thinking about what that strategy is that's going to fit with your lifestyle. Okay. This is another place where I see so many lady landlords go wrong because they are picking strategies that just don't fit with what they actually have going on in their life. For example, A lot of our lady landlords are working women that have full-time jobs. We have a lot of nurses, which also have very long hours in them. We have other roles that sometimes just need to be thought about and considered when now picking up a side hustle, which for a lot of women is how they start off in real estate. Also, we have a lot of moms in lady landlords. That is incredibly important to start thinking about what that relationship is with now a side hustle, or if real estate's your full-time gig, along with also having children, which is probably another full-time thing for most moms as well. That would be something then that you want to start seeing how that's going to fit into your life. What does real estate really play in your life here? What role is that? For example, you might want to start thinking about if you're going to be investing long distance or if this is something that you want to start close. A lot of people tend to feel much more comfortable in their area when they can actually go see a house, when they can walk in, when they can touch it, when they can open the door, all of those different things. But that sometimes just is not possible. I own most of my properties in New York, right outside the city. That has a very high cost of living. We are a very competitive market. And there are certain people that are unhappy with some of the legislation that's been passed in New York and therefore wouldn't want to invest not only here, but maybe that even actually takes New Jersey and Connecticut and other close states really kind of out of contention. That's perfectly okay to go out of state. I actually own property out of the country and I love those. But you have to think to yourself, what are you going to be comfortable with? If that's something that you're saying, I'm never going to be able to pull the trigger and make an offer on a property until I set my own 2 feet in it, until I can actually see it, touch it, go through an inspection myself, well, then that out of state might not be an option for you. Or it might just be something then that you're going to have to account for the cost of having to travel to that location. That might end up being now more time. You're going to have to be away for the weekend, or maybe you have a couple hours drive that you're going to have to go to another location. Those are things that you have to figure out. How is that going to work if you have a demanding job with 60 hours a week plus a couple kids at home? That might not be something that's going to fit with your lifestyle, and then therefore is not going to become a routine and have something you're going to stick with. Another option that you need to think about within your lifestyle is really to start that debate between a short-term rental, mid-term rental, long-term rental. How are you really going to be making that income? And which one of those strategies are you going to be employing? Right? I own both short-term rentals and I own long-term rentals. I do like my quick cash for my short-term rentals, but I like the stability of my long-term rentals. A short-term rental, I personally find more in a hospitality type space. I have to have a very different level of customer service and making sure that I am providing somebody with that experience when they are in one of my short-term rentals compared to when I have a long-term rental, that really my role is to making sure to continue that they have safe, sustainable housing for the longevity of their lease. Those are two very different places for me to be spending my time. And you need to evaluate how that's going to work in your life. I have a lot of lady landlords that I've worked with in our lady landlords inner circle that get really excited about that short-term rental opportunity, but then unfortunately get bogged down with some of the details in the customer service. And it doesn't end up being that landlording experience and kind of that freedom that they were really looking for. And everybody's going to feel a little bit differently on that. There are so many people that have created successful short-term rentals and businesses over the past couple of years that it's a fantastic business model to still get into. But you need to understand how that impacts your day to day, your life, and then also back to tip number one, what your why was and why we're getting involved in this. Another space we want to think about when it comes to understanding your lifestyle is still to think about those options between doing a complete flip, right, and really rehabbing a property and doing renovation versus purchasing something that is completely turnkey, meaning there are already tenants there, they are already in place, you are already taking over that lease, they're paying on day one. Those two are also going to have very different financial outcomes, and they're going to have very different time that is going to be needed to seeing those things through. The great part about those flips is usually there's a great opportunity to buy low, either sell high, or then be able to have that forced appreciation, get some really good rental incomes in that property, and then be able to really leverage that increased value in that home due to that work. But there's a lot more time that's going to be involved in that rather than purchasing turnkey. When you're purchasing something that's turnkey, that's already well put together, tenants living in it, not really a lot to do. Well, one, you're not going to really have that much of that appreciation to borrow against, but you're probably paying top dollar for that. And then therefore, those rents are probably already where they can be the highest, which means you might not have as much cash flow on some of those turnkey opportunities as you would have flipped. But if you're saying, hey, right now, this is the busiest season for my company, I really cannot get involved in taking on a lot of that other work right now. A turnkey is still going to be a great option for you to move forward, but you really need to assess, once again, what your why is and what your goals are, and how does that match up with your day to day. Tip number 3 about how to make sure to navigate today's market is now thinking all about the market that you're going to be invested in and also that deal. Right now, markets are changing. Economy is changing quite a bit. Over the past now 2 years, we've really seen interest rates lowering a little bit. Definitely not going back to all those great interest rates a lot of people scooped up back in 2020, 2021. But we're absolutely seeing better numbers than we were seeing back in 2023. So there is some positivity there. But right now, there's a lot of unknown questions about what we're seeing in our economy and what that's going to really look like over the next year. So we have to understand what that's going to look like from a reactionary standpoint and really start understanding how to be conservative with our deal analysis. Okay. If you do not know how to do deal analysis, you do not know which property that you're going to be able to buy. Okay. You're not going to know what a good deal is if you can't even run the numbers. So we have other podcast episodes all about how to run those numbers and what those numbers mean, which is really the most important part about those numbers. So make sure you go back and you listen to those other episodes. I will make sure to link an episode down in our show notes all about how to properly analyze deals. That's going to be really helpful for you. But the key here is to really see and understand what's going on in your market. There are places that unfortunately the valuations are actually dropping, that properties maybe are not bringing in and not really worth what they were just a few months or even a year ago. So you really want to understand what's happening in those markets, why those markets are actually decreasing, and what markets are still strong or which ones will be appreciating moving forward. So those are going to be the 2 keys to really analyzing and understanding which properties are going to be the best ones for you to buy and really where you're going to have to pass because they're not going to be the right fit for you. Okay. If you need any type of help identifying what strategy is going to be best for your goals or how to analyze a market or any deals that you have, feel free to reach out about joining the Lady Landlords Inner Circle. We actually are opening doors soon. So we want to make sure that you can join us and you have the opportunity to really connect with other women that are growing every single day in this business. It's a great place to really not feel alone as a woman in real estate. So I will also put the link down so you can apply to join us in the Lady Landlords Inner Circle. Thank you very much for joining me here today. If you have not, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next episode of the Lady Landlords podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, please do make sure to leave us a 5-star review. This helps other women be able to find the Lady Landlords podcast and get the support that they need from our community. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week for the next episode of the Lady Landlords podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlords.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.